Hi, I'm Robert Oncoy, and today I'm going to talk about process descriptions. Well, let's look at the cyclic natural process. Here we see a typical question on the IELTS writing exam for a task 1 process. It comprises of the rubric, which introduces the image to you, and the task, which are the instructions that you must follow. So you must summarize this information by selecting and reporting the main features, and to make comparisons where relevant. So this is a cyclic process. It's not linear because there's no clear beginning and no end. It goes in a circle. It's a natural process. So this is something that humans do not, this is something where humans do not play a role. Now, once you get your exam paper, you definitely do not want to take your pen and start writing. Students who do this end up wasting time later when they end up looking up and trying to decide, what do I write about and what grammar and vocabulary do I use. Their first 3 minutes should be spent by looking and understanding the graphic. In the meantime, you can annotate the graph by drawing on the paper. So what features should I pay attention to? Well, let me start somewhere by numbering the different steps that I see in this image. So over here, I'm going to say I see one stage that happens underwater. And where does it begin for me? Well, it has to begin with the eggs. Then I see 4 basic steps that occur through here. Then I see 3 steps, from steps 5 to 7, that take place on the land. So here's my second stage. So I've grouped the 7 steps of this process into 2 separate stages, or phases, however you want to call it. Is this all I need to do in the first 3 minutes? That was pretty easy, wasn't it? No. So what we also need to do is try to take out any vocabulary that we might know can help us paraphrase, that can help us describe what's going on without copying too much from what I see. So let's look at some words. Instead of frog, I could use the word amphibian. Mature, which is an adjective, I can use adult or fully grown. For an embryo, we know that this means fertilized egg. Pond can be water. I have no synonym for tadpole, but we can describe this as a young form. We have growing, developing, and maturing. Young frog could be a baby or small frog. Legs can be replaced with limbs, front limbs. Pulmonary breathing. Well, we know breathing. You might be able to get away with saying respiration, but pulmonary means it involves lungs. And to break through is a verb we could replace with emerge. So now that you've written all this down, 3 minutes is up, it's time to start writing. Like all task 1 introductions, we just need to paraphrase the rubric. Now this rubric is really short, so we could do word substitution, or we could expand on the idea just a little bit. Here's my paraphrase. The given diagram depicts the different stages in the life cycle of a frog living in a pond. Good. Now let's get to the overview. Here, you can pause the video if you want to read the paragraph in full, but an overview, like in all task 1, should comprise of at least 2 sentences. Here we identify that there are 2 phases. By doing this, by describing the 2 phases, I'm already previewing for the reader what body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2 will be about. I also, for a process, want to talk about the initial product or substance that starts the process, in this case, the embryo or the eggs, and then the end product, which is the adult amphibian. Here's stage 1. Feel free to pause the video and read the paragraph carefully. Okay, now that you've paused the video, let me go through this. The student has written a decent paragraph. The sentences are grammatically correct. And I could see that the student has used linkers like secondly, thirdly, fourthly, fifthly, and finally. These linkers help reader follow the steps in each stage, and so it's easier to read. However, this is a bit mechanical. It's a bit robotic and repetitive. If you can, try to use other linkers that help, well, make it sound natural. Let's take a look at an example. So here, I've replaced the firstly, secondly, thirdly, fourthly with you know, relative clause, with the words then, over time, and over here where we have the shortening of the tail and the emergence of small limbs. This indicates changes that happen gradually and some of which might happen simultaneously, which is why I use the and to join them. And here, instead of finally, I say eventually. Let's look at body 2. In stage 2, well, you could pause the video here and read this paragraph if you wish. Now, what do I want to comment? If you go look back at, paragraph 1 and paragraph 2 here, I include something to explain the purpose of a change. So, for example, pulmonary breathing. The picture says pulmonary breathing, but it's okay to point out how this connects to the new stage. Pulmonary breathing allows a frog to survive on land. So this kind of signifies a key reason why this stage is different from the last stage. Now, at the end, you can see that we end off by talking about the final product, which is the adult frog, and then we hint that the cycle begins again from here. And there we have it. That is our final essay from beginning to end. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to tune in for the next on processes.